Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me in another of my monologues. Today, I'm in the studio, as you can see, because I've got something to show you. And on this channel, it's been a strange journey, isn't it? I'm not really like so many channels that stick to one particular subject. It sort of follows all sorts of different thought processes, trends, and various things. And really, what I think, it's just an opinion, and we have interviews, as you know. And in more recent times, I've become more interested in philosophical things. We've gone down rabbit holes. We've looked at what might be happening in this world. We've talked about freedom. We've talked about the legal system. We've talked about remedies for people, not persons. We've explored how the birth certificate has been something that has been created not so much as something that's beneficial to people, but actually something that seems to benefit and control those people and has been turned people into persons. Anyway, all of that is sort of stuff that we've done in the past. It always strikes me that when you go into a wartime situation, it's very important, is it not, to know who is on your side and who isn't. I guess in the old days you'd have different uniforms if you were fighting a battle. You'd have those in the red uniform and those in the blue uniform, or whatever, It's always handy to know because you don't want to shoot the wrong people. You don't want to shoot your own side. Although it does seem when you look into history that a lot of people up the chain seem to shoot their own people. But let's not dwell on that in today's show. One of the things, though, that is required, of course, perhaps in a wartime situation, just to make sure there are no spies or infiltrating people, is papers. Get your papers out to prove who you are, as if any kind of piece of paper will actually prove who you are. We know the birth certificate actually says on it that you cannot use this as evidence of proof of an individual. It's written on it. I paraphrase that. Can't remember the exact phrase, but you know what I mean. Go and have a look at your birth certificate. Although I was told in New Zealand it doesn't actually say that, which is interesting. So I'm slightly wary, well, very wary, when the Labour government have said that they're going to introduce something called Brit Card. Brit Card. Now, I want to have a look at this and just go through what they say, what Brit Card is going to be, because as soon as you suddenly have something that is going to be mandated, and there is a legal definition of mandated, but let's take it as the one that most people will think of, and that is that you've got to have it in order to do anything, buy anything, and prove who you are. A passport is no longer good enough, it seems. That you've actually got to have some other bit of card, which will be part of the digital revolution that we're all desperately eager to become part of, apparently. Maybe not all of us. Maybe some of us are rather cynical about that. But let's have a look and see what they have put out. And here it is from Labour Together. Brit Card, a progressive digital identity for Britain. Okay. I'll leave the link in the description. You can have a look at this. But let's just have a look at some of the words that they've used here. For a progressive society to work, they say, it needs to be able to collectively agree who is allowed to join it. Now, that's a very powerful statement. It needs collectively, i.e. a bunch of people, not necessarily everybody, but it seems to imply everybody, who is allowed to join something. These are very powerful words. And let's go on, though, because it will exclude, it says, those who cannot join it. Or perhaps who don't want to join it. It needs to give its members, again, members, you want to be a member of anything, proof that they belong. So it's like a club membership. Now, it says here the UK doesn't do this. Well, I don't know that that's true. I think the birth certificate, I think that the passport, I think all those things that you step into their jurisdiction means that you agree to be something that you may not actually be, like in an all-caps name, a legal entity, an ens legis, as they say in Latin. Our conflicted historic approach to issuing identity credentials has led to a situation that represents the worst of both worlds. Is that really true? Let's just go up a little bit. We currently cannot effectively stop people from living and working in our country illegally. Why not? Why not? You've got a lot of people coming in on rubber boats and without passports, and yet we seem to be quite happy to allow them to stay in hotels, which seems a bit strange, where we've got ex-soldiers living on the streets. We have poor people living in unsuitable accommodation, and yet people coming across the channel seem to be perfectly all right to come in on rubber boats with no identity whatsoever and live in quite nice hotels. Anyway, it goes on, it says, nor can we effectively support legal citizens and residents to exercise their rights. One has to ask oneself, do you wish to be a legal citizen or a resident? These are all legal terms. You see, it's a jurisdiction that you may think it just refers to you automatically, but it's effectively that paragraph has said, we have a club. Legal citizens and residents are in our club in the UK Limited Corporation. Now, you may decide that you don't want to be part of any of that because it has its restrictions, it has its rules, it has its regulations, commonly known as legislation, of course. Anyway, it goes on here. The paper makes this case for the introduction of BritCard, a mandatory national digital identity that would be issued, of course, free of charge. It's going to be mandated. It would be a bit much if then they charge you, but that doesn't surprise me at all these days. Anyway, it's going to be issued free of charge to all those with the right to live and work in the UK. Not in Britain, not in England and Wales or Scotland or any other country, but the UK, which, bear in mind, United Kingdom is a jurisdiction. It is a corporation. So, you know, if you want to be part of a corporation, it's entirely up to you. Whether they are British-born nationals or legal migrants. So, in other words, there is a number of people who could join this if they wish to. Well, they're going to be mandated if you want to be in that jurisdiction. This is how it seems to me. The BritCard would be a variable digital credential downloaded onto the user's smartphone, which could be instantly checked by employers or landlords using a free verified app. So this is the beginning, I would say, of a digital identity, which we've heard that was going to be coming. Let's just go on a little bit and see what else it says here. By introducing a mandatory, universal, national identity credential, the BritCard, the Labour government has the opportunity to build a new piece of civic, again, that's a jurisdiction, isn't it? Infrastructure. Something that would become a familiar feature of daily life for everyone in this country. All persons, presumably, as opposed to people being different. It would support better enforcement of migration rules. Yeah, well, I thought we had passports for that. Which we've had for, donkeys, and protect vulnerable British citizens, not British people, I notice there, not British people, but citizens, which is part of the sort of Roman Empire, isn't it, from being wrongly denied their rights. It all sounds very laudable if you want to be in that club. It could end identity exclusion, resolving uncertainty and risk from those whose status is uncertain. Uncertain to whom? Uncertain. Are you uncertain of your own identity, individual people out there? Or is it the government who's uncertain about who you are and would rather that you be in their club so that you abide by their rules and that you give them consent? And providing a quick, secure, privacy-preserving means for everyone to verify their identity and their migration status when dealing with government, when taking up a new job or taking on property. It's all a bit worrying. I'll leave this in the description because I think that you guys can make your own interpretation. It's not for me to tell you really what it's all about. However, just the idea of an identity card to prove who you are. I still struggle with the notion that how do you identify anybody? This is the thing that I struggle. How are you identified? I mean, to me, the only way I can identify myself is turning up in person, as it were, turning up in my living flesh and saying, this is me. Because no bit of paper can possibly identify you. A bit of paper can say who you say you are, or who somebody else has said who you are. The birth certificate itself, which is supposed to be the foundation of all the other bits of data that we have that prove ourselves, isn't about us. Well, it isn't about real people. It's about something that was registered by the Crown Corporation and is all in the all caps name, which gives us passports and bank accounts and things like utilities. It's all in a jurisdiction that you may want to be in. You maybe think, actually, do you know what? I do want to access the national insurance. I do want to go to the NHS, public enemy number one. I do want to be under the thumb of government. I do want to give the illusion of voting and thinking that I'm making a difference to a government who's going to rule and make the rules about me. Or you may be somebody who says, do you know what? I sort of appeared on this land and I appeared on the earth. And actually, as I look around, there's a bunch of people who are wanting to control me. They've got their club, their little company called the UK, and they want to, and yeah, maybe I will join that and acquiesce and be part of it. We all not really given that choice, are we? We suddenly find ourselves in it, and before we've actually been told that there is another opportunity just to be a free man, as it were, or a free woman, to be perhaps beholden to a higher authority, which might be the source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call the thing that has created everything, rather than the government. Because we know the government didn't create the earth. We know the government didn't create the mountains, the streams, the grass, nature. They didn't control, they didn't make it, they didn't create it. And so it seems to me that the old truism that the created can never be more important or bigger or control the creator. And if the creator created a landscape in which animals roam freely as much as they can, although man comes in and interferes with all of that, in their habitats and things. But generally, there is this sort of place. We all end up in it. And then we find that there's a bunch of people who are saying, well, actually, we're in control. We're in control. And we've got these rules and regulations that really you've got nothing to do with. Or you can join our group. In fact, we'll actually make you believe that you're already in our group and we're all part of it and you have to be part of it. And are we not already in it? I don't really see the need for another bit of paper or another card or a digital identity that says, oh yeah, we can identify you. I'm somewhat confused that anybody would really want to be part of that system, because it seems to me that the digital business this card is a way of just saying, right, okay, once you've got this card, we'll give you this card. It's just it's a sort of key, isn't it? That you won't be able to log on to the internet, for example. You won't be able to go and get some health or your teeth sorted out. You won't be able to borrow books from the library. You won't be able to, all the things that you suddenly need a membership card. Everything will be a membership card. To buy petrol, they'll say, yes, all petrol is sold by corporations. Electricity is sold by corporations. Effectively, the digital card will be saying, I am a corporation and therefore I can buy all these things. At the moment, I think the problem for such a big corporation such as the United Kingdom is that they're aware that some people, and seems to be a growing number of people, are questioning their legitimacy, or they're saying, do you know what, I don't actually want to be part of this because it seems incredibly restrictive. It seems incredibly controlling. It seems to want to be able to take people and maybe in the future mandate that they go off to war and fight for them. It may be that they want to make us go to work for them and not pay us perhaps money that has any value, that it is fiat currency. I don't know. it doesn't sound very nice having to have, again, that wartime mentality of show us your papers to prove who you are. How do you prove who you are? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know really, other than if I think about myself, I am some form of consciousness. I am a soul in a body. I'm not a name on a birth certificate that somebody else has registered and copyrighted and told me that's who I am. That's not me. And if I think that's me and they're going to tally this bit of paper that was given to me when I was born, now with a little plastic card or a digital thing on my phone, that seems to be one more step of mind-numbing bending to try and impress upon me that I am something that I'm not, and that the only way I can access a number of things in this country that might be of useful or helpful is to jump into their jurisdiction. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think having a digital identity is a good thing? Have you worked out actually who and what you are? Have you asked those fundamental questions that most kids, don't they? Who am I? What am I? When they're in their early teens and they start to ask those questions, and then life comes along and you suddenly realize that actually, oh, I must be that name, and I must get this job, and I must get on the hamster wheel, and I have to work, and I have to pay these taxes and all of this. Well, what if that is not true? That actually there is another space, a more real space that isn't a corporation? What if that is and could offer a much nicer lifestyle than one that has all these restrictions and controls and enables you, it enforces you to have a bit of paper, a bit of card, or a digital footprint or something that says this is the only way that you can prove who you are, and actually turns out not to be who you are in the first place. If you've managed to follow any of this, you can see what a quagmire that this is. And it's easy for people to just go, oh, it's too confusing, I'll just go along with it because I want an easy and convenient life. Well, we know how convenience has duped people in so many different ways. And it's a worrying situation. Anyway, I'll leave that in description. You work out whether you want to have a nice brick card, shiny, a little bit, be a member of the club, and you know, stroll around and go, yeah, I'm this thing. When actually, at the end of the day, that might not be you at all.